All right, what is up, everyone? Divine Hood here. Just wanted to make a quick update on today's price action, what happened today. And as promised, I will cover some altcoins afterwards as well that were posted in the comments. So, pretty important here today. We had been in this ascending channel. Let me actually get rid of this real quick here and let me zoom out onto the 4-hour chart. You can see Bitcoin has been in this ascending channel pretty much since we broke the 100K highs. We were kind of consolidating right at 95, 100K. We've broken it. We've been seeing this vertical accumulation happen with Bitcoin since November 11th here. Since about November 11th, Bitcoin's been in this ascending channel here. And you can see every time we hit the top of this channel, we see a pretty harsh rejection to the downside, but channel support is still holding and we still are in a bullish trend. Well, in yesterday's video, I said we have to watch out for one more push up to the top of the channel, which is also in confluence with this pitchfork upper band here, which is we've been in pretty much the same time, kind of the same sort of pattern that we're following. And sure enough, we hit the top of that channel earlier today, and we saw a pretty clear rejection, a pretty fast, clear rejection right away. And I did say that this was a level to be watching for a bigger pullback to happen. If we see that pullback, I posted something like, let me show you guys here. I said we could watch for, and I posted this in Jason's Discord. By the way, the Discord I'm talking about is Jason Casper's trading Discord. Best trading community in the world. Jason's just a solid dude. Love that guy. Love that community. And that's where I post in the Discord. So, but in the Discord earlier, I posted that we hit the top of the channel. We could come down to see a rejection or an SFP of this low here, come up for a lower high, and then come down to the midline. One of the reasons why I'm looking for the midline of this channel as well. Let me get rid of that and let me zoom out here. So we are seeing that happen. We're seeing this play out exactly like we wanted it to play out. So if we take a fib from the last major pull or pretty big pullback to the all-time to the all-time high, which is this high that we just created today, and we pull it over, you can see that that golden pocket is right in confluence with that channel midline. So we could see some sort of correction to about 102.5, something like that, where we see, let me get on 24-minute chart. Okay, so yeah, we could see something like the SFP. We took the liquidity of these lows. We could pump up to make a lower high. So now that we changed market structure, we want to be looking, we want to pull a golden pocket from the high to the low. We want to be looking up to this golden pocket 786 area here to watch for a rejection now that we could be seeing a possible change in market structure on higher time frames like the 1 hour, 2 hour. So this could be the lower high that makes us go down to another lower low. We're going to be watching for that. We are seeing the SFP of this low, took the liquidity of this low, and we're pumping up pretty good here. But we are going to watch for that. Now, one of the reasons why we bounced from this level as well, not only the SFP, it was an SFP on Coinbase, but if we go on to Bybit, you can see it's also the midline of this pitchfork that we had been following. And also when we hit we rejected pretty much to the dollar from this pitchfork band. Usually the first time you hit a pitchfork band like this, you reject pretty hard. And the last time we hit it, you can see we consolidated for a bit and then we rejected. But yeah, we're seeing a rejection here. We're holding the midline of support, which we really now are trying to flip to support on a more high time frame. So that's a good sign. Bitcoin is still showing strength and we still are in this ascending channel. I'm really not going to get bearish until we lose this bigger ascending channel. But that, by the time we get to the bottom of the ascending channel, that's already around 100K. So that's a pretty big drop already. So we can trade, we can do smaller trades on the way down to that. And if we lose 100K, we might go back down to test those 70s again, that value area high of that much bigger accumulation range, that 6 to 7, 8 month range that we saw for most of 2024. So yeah, Bitcoin, it's following the price action and the technical analysis pretty well. Going to be watching for this lower high to be created in the next few hours here. If we do reject from this golden pocket 786 area, I'm going to be expecting this to drop to this like 102.5 to 102.7 level, where this golden pocket would be in confluence with the bigger ascending channel midline for a bigger bounce. Maybe we continue higher up to that 113K, which is the fib channel level that I was talking to you guys about on every single video. I still think that's a major level that we need to watch for to see if it's going to be hit. So yeah, that's Bitcoin for you. Bitcoin's looking pretty good, but I do think we could see a pullback here. As far as bearish divergences go, let's see here. Let's go on the 1 hour chart. Yeah, we're see higher highs all the way up through here, lower highs on the momentum waves. Now money flow is starting to go down pretty aggressive. So we are seeing 1 hour bearish divergences, multiple drives of that. Let's go on the 2 hour chart. Yeah, bearish divergences on the 2 hour. Higher highs in price action, lower highs in the momentum waves. Money flow is starting to go down, but it still could do another little like down and up hump like this did. But we are at a bigger resistance, and I've been watching for this resistance because not only is it the ascending channel top, but it's also that pitchfork on Bybit's chart here that I'm watching. It's that pitchfork that we hit to the dollar. Now, if we pull a fib on this one from this low here to the high, you can see the golden pocket is pretty closely aligning with the bottom of the pitchfork as well. It's a little bit below, depending on how quick we get there. So that bottom of the pitchfork and then the channel midline, or that, actually that's the wrong fib pull. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so it's the bottom band here, the bottom band. So if we lose this midline here, there's pretty much not much holding us back. I mean, we could do a fixed range pull of this little range here still, and we do have the value area high there, so we have to watch that. We could wick into the golden pocket in this pitchfork band, but close the candle, maybe a 4 hourly candle above the value area high, and then continue higher. So that's something that I'm watching for on Bitcoin. We're just going to see how this, if we create a lower high, if this plays out. But Bitcoin is still looking strong. It's still in its trend. We're going to trade the trend, but that doesn't mean you can't short at resistances. Hedge. Yesterday, I told you guys you can look for hedges. You look for hedges when we hit resistance. Sure enough, we hit resistance. You could have shorted that. You would have already been up in profit. It would have already been a profitable scalp for you. And now you can let the rest ride down to deeper levels. Okay, crypto total market cap still looking pretty good. We are still seeing resistance in this upper band. See, we've hit it a few times and we've had rejections. Hit it again, we're seeing rejections. I'm still wanting to see a push down to this liquidity here that's resting around this midline. So if we had a really nice flush down, say Bitcoin does see a bigger correction and altcoins will bleed real hard, we could see a push down to that, and then we could probably continue higher. And total 3 market cap, this is the market cap of all altcoins that we're watching. We are still grinding in the same pitchfork. Now, an interesting development here, when we dumped down during that flash crash, we kind of were chopping around for a little while in this upper band, but we were able to break it, and now it looks like we're trying to flip it to support. It is holding a little bit above this. We're starting to form a consolidation range here. So if I go on the 2 hour chart here, you can see this range here, and we could just do a fixed range pull of this range. You could either pull it like here for the smaller range, or you could pull it down to the after the flash crash here. And now that we see that it's flipped above it and it's trying to flip it to support, you can see the value area low of this range is in confluence with the back test of this upper band of this pitchfork. So if we come down here, we can see it come down, hold this, and then maybe we can continue higher, bust up to the top, because we still did front run the top of this pitchfork, which I think that that's a major level where I'll be looking to take profits. If we get up to the total 3 market cap up here, and altcoins are obviously would have been pumping by then, we might see some profit taking there. By then, Bitcoin might also be at that 113K fib channel level, that very important resistance, and we could see a larger correction, maybe month or two, or even longer than that. Money flow, so you guys can see this very clear. Higher highs all the way up, making lower highs on the momentum waves. Money flow started decreasing. So we are consolidating in bull markets. Instead of having huge drops, sometimes you just see sideways consolidation, a little bit sideways and down consolidation, instead of a big flush down, instead of a big correction to the downside, you'll see sideways consolidation. So yeah, that's Bitcoin and total market cap. That's what I'm watching for that. Now, as promised, I'm going to go into some altcoins. So first, I'm going to go into Dogecoin here, USDT. All right, so let me zoom out here. Let's go on to the weekly first. So here's what I like to do, you guys. When I'm doing my technical analysis on an asset, I'll kind of zoom out a little bit, see if I can find any major like pitchforks or channels or anything like that that I can work off of, and then I'll zoom in farther and farther, make those daily levels. Looks like we did reject really well from this high to this low here. We hit the golden pocket pretty much to the dollar, and we're starting to see that rejection down. So now that we are seeing rejection down on Dogecoin, we can take a range of these last few weeks, and you can see this value area high is aligning pretty closely with this prior high here. So if Dogecoin is going to continue bullishly, we can come back down here to these prior highs, to the value area high, and then we can continue higher if we hold that as support. Let's check the fib levels here on that. So if we do the last major pull on the weekly from this low to the high, yeah, you can see the golden pocket is aligning really nicely. Let me get to the golden pocket only. You can see the golden pocket is aligning really nicely with our prior highs on the weekly. These prior highs here, they're pretty much right in the golden pocket. So that's a good level of support to be looking to buy. You know, it looks like that's around 22 to 24 cents there. Dogecoin could be a really good buy if we see that. We're not seeing any bearish divergences on the weekly on Doge, so that's pretty cool. Bitcoin is, and some other assets are. Doge is looking pretty strong. Let's get rid of this now, and let's go into... So I'm looking here, not really any key weekly levels. Let me get rid of this too. So weekly, I would just say the only weekly level I'd put on the chart is obviously the resistance up here. If I can get it, there we go. All right, weekly here. And then I'm going to zoom in onto the daily. We're going to go onto the daily here. So it looks like we're starting to form a pretty clear range on the daily. We could do a fib pull. If you're looking for scalps, you could trade this range here. Now on the daily, it does look like we were seeing some bearish divergences here. You know, higher highs all through this, lower highs in the momentum waves through this, and money flow is starting to curve down. This looks to me like Dogecoin's going to get a little bit larger of a correction based off the money flow and daily bearish divergences. We are holding this range still. You can see the few times we hit the value area low of this range, we did see at least pumps up to the value area high of this range. So let me get rid of this range real quick, and we'll zoom in here. Yeah, the liquid, like daily levels, we had this daily here. The liquidity's been taken from that. We had this daily here. Liquidity's taken from that. Nothing really I would mark in here as far as daily levels. Like you could put that as a daily, but we've already taken the liquidity there as well. So I wouldn't be marking that out. Now, we do have semi-equal lows here. Actually, pretty much equal lows here of liquidity on the daily chart that we could come back down to 36.4. This is the very least level I'd be looking for a long at. If we SFP these dual lows here and then close a candle above, you might be able to take it. At least if what we could do then in that situation is we could do a fib pull from the last high to the low. We can pull it over, and we'd be looking for a sort of something like this. We could see an SFP of these lows. We could come up and make a lower high into the golden pocket and continue down to the 22-cent range, or we might just continue after doing this. We might make higher highs and continue higher. I guess it's going to be really depend on what Bitcoin's doing. It's going to depend on how the rest of the market looks here. So, and in that total market cap chart as well. I really recommend you guys pay attention to total 3 if you're trading altcoins rather than Ethereum, and watch that chart, because that chart can really tell you when to take profits on some altcoins. So Dogecoin, that's what I would look for at Dogecoin. I forgot to show you guys this. Let me go zoom back out. I'm going to zoom on to the weekly chart again, and we can look for key pitchforks here. So our last key low on the weekly, I would say, is this low here. So we can take a pitchfork, we can bring it to that low, we can bring it to the next major pivot high, into that pivot low there. And you can see already this pitchfork's been respected, rejected from the midline, ended up holding the lower band. We pumped up pretty crazily. One thing we could do now that we're above that is we can change that to a modified skiff pitchfork, and that's even more respected. That looks really well, but let's change it to an original pitchfork and see how this looks. Yeah, so you can see that was also the top of the pitchfork, and that's why probably if I zoom in onto the daily chart, you could probably see, right, sure enough, couldn't close a daily above this level, so we're chopping around at resistance here. Another thing, look how nice this lines up. If we drop to SFP these dual lows and we SFP it into this upper band support of the pitchfork, like if we chop for a couple more days, slowly come down, SFP those dual lows into the pitchfork upper band support now that it's flipped to support, then we could either continue higher or we could make a higher low depending on how the rest of the market looks, because we know that altcoins follow the rest of the market. So Dogecoin overall it looks pretty good, but I do think we're at least going to come down to SFP these dual lows. That's a lot of liquidity resting there. And we even have the low of this guy here where we could make a deeper SFP. Oops. We could make a deeper SFP into that low. We could see something, like this. And that would be into the middle of the band there, which the middle of the band often, just like on that total 3 chart, oftentimes when we see a drop, we'll chop in the middle of the band for a little while. We could SFP it, chop, come back above this, and then pump up higher. And that could be our higher low in the making, or our lower high in the making, or it could continue raging if Bitcoin's going to continue raging. All right, that's Dogecoin. The next one, and actually, real quick before, let me look at, I don't think I saw any really good channels on this one. So, yeah, nothing too big. I could zoom in onto the 4-hour chart. We could look at that daily range here. So let's see here. I mean, it's kind of, you could pull something like, oops, let me get rid of that. Stupid new mouse. All right, right here, you could pull something like this. You go from those 2 highs to this low here. You can see we're kind of breaking that channel already, but it was being respected. You can see how well the midline was respected many times. We rejected from the midline here again. Midline rejected, midline wicked past it, but couldn't close above it. Hit here. And then one important thing that we are seeing with this channel, let me get rid of some of this other stuff, clean up this chart for you guys a little bit. So one of the things that we saw with this ascending channel, it was in an ascending channel similar to Bitcoin's, but we couldn't make a new high. We rejected from this midline. We lost the channel, and always when you lose a key structure like this, you're going to come back up to back test it to either reestablish within and continue higher, or you're going to come back down, back test it, reject, and then continue on down to the next major level of support, which I would say is this liquidity level. We could also do a fib pull, from high to low here, this high to low of the range. And if we lose the 786, I would say we're at least coming for that liquidity down there. So you can see we already actually did test the 786 and we got the bounce. So on this initial drop here on the daily, we held the 786. We came up to retest it, and it looks like we're failing. So honestly, I think Dogecoin's coming for at least 34 cents or 36 cents, the double lows here, the 36.5 cents. And we could at least SFP these dual lows here or maybe even come take the liquidity at the bottom of this channel, and that would be into that upper band support of that pitchfork I was just showing you. So that's Dogecoin. All right, next on the list, let's go to Solana. Actually, I have my Solana here. So a couple things. Let me get rid of this real quick, clean up this chart for you guys, and let me zoom out onto the daily. Solana here, it's a very similar structure I'm watching an ascending channel. Let me get rid of this too. So Solana has been in this range here, kind of sideways range since March of 2024 here. And we've been trading in this sideways range. That's probably where that last range pull was from, something like this before the breakout, but it's going to be like here. And you can see we were chopping within this range. We broke it, and now we're continuing higher. But with this channel here, it looks like I was pulling these lows. Actually, let's see. Yeah. All right, let me redo this channel because that's not on. So I would go from the low here to the next major low here, and then bring it up to these highs here. Actually. And you could see how well this channel is being respected. Front ran the midline a little bit here, but we rejected that. Come back down, came up to the top of the channel. And oftentimes you'll see it barely front run the top of the channel on higher time frames. We did that. We came back down. We hit the midline. We saw a pretty strong bounce from the midline. Now we're coming back down. We hit the midline again. Saw another bounce just today, it looks like. And if Solana loses this midline, we could probably come down much lower. We would want to take a fib pull from this last lower high, last major swing high on the daily. And sure enough, look at this. You can see that we have that resting liquidity of these two dual lows here that is right below the golden pocket. So we might see something like a SFP into the golden pocket, then maybe reclaim the midline and continue higher. Solana looks pretty good though. On the daily, we're actually, most coins on the daily are, the momentum waves are topped out and we're seeing bearish divergences. Solana, we don't see bullish divergences here, but we do see the momentum waves are bottomed out, 2 green dots, and money flow looks like it's starting to curve up. I really think Solana, if Solana gets down to that 200 to 193 area, it's going to be a level where I'm interested in longing it and bringing it up to new all-time highs, or at the very least up to the golden pocket pull. This is a theoretical golden pocket pull, but say we go from the all-time high and say we hit this golden pocket here, then you could look to bring it up to 240-ish, from 240 to 250 to look for a lower high here. And that also makes sense because if that happened, we would have these highs here as liquidity where we could come up into there. Sorry, this chart's getting a little messy here. So yeah, that's something that you could look for here, into there. And so Solana's looking pretty good. Solana's looking a lot more bullish than some of these altcoins. If I zoom out, let's see here. Let's go onto the weekly chart here. So one thing I would say with Solana, and part of the reason why we're holding where we're holding now, is because the last major highs, these last major highs here, are now acting as support. Let me get rid of this stuff that I just showed you guys. All right, so yeah, you can see, and then let me hide this channel. You can see that these last major highs that we had on the weekly, we chopped around for a few weeks. We were in that range for, most of the year, since it looks like March, April, the same range that Bitcoin was in, but this was Solana's version of that. And when we broke it to the upside, now that we broke the prior highs, they are going to act as our first major support. So we're coming down to those highs now. If we can hold this level, we might continue higher up to these higher bull market targets that I've got up here. If we don't continue, we might see a flush back down to some of those areas I was showing you. We could also do a range pull. We could pull this range here. You could see that value area high, and let's do a fib pull from this low. Okay, yeah, so oftentimes in really bullish markets, the 382 acts as support as well. So if we go to strong trending 382, okay, that's where we bounce from here. We already bounced from that on the weekly level. You can see we wicked into that 382, and we did get a strong bounce on the weekly here. And so, yeah, I would say if we lose that midline, one thing I do see here, if we zoom in onto the daily, and I think Jay pointed this out on his stream today, is we are forming a descending channel here, which you could kind of see as a bull flag. So if we take those two prior highs and we drag it to the first major low, you can see we're just chopping within this channel. So you could day trade this channel too. Like if we zoom into the 4 hour, let me get rid of this fixed range pull. You can see here that this channel is pretty nicely respected. You can see even though these price action was created before the highs of the channel, it's based off of trends and analysis, and psychological levels. So that's why it was being respected here. If we come back down to the bottom of the channel, that's around $200. So this descending channel at $200 is also the retest of that value area high with that golden pocket. So $200 looks like a pretty strong support level to buy Solana at. Let me go on to my other Solana chart because I think I have a pitchfork here. Yeah. Okay, so let me zoom out onto the daily. Solana on the daily, I have this, I have a channel and a pitchfork. So let me hide this bigger channel for now. So you can see, actually I hid the pitchfork. This is a nice channel on the daily. So you can see if I took it from this low here to this low here and bring it to this high, since really December of 2023. So over a year, or about a year, we've been chopping in this upward ascending channel, and it's being pretty nicely respected. And we are at, so there's multiple reasons why we're holding here now, and we're trying to hold. If we do hold this channel now, we could see a breakout of the smaller descending channel I just showed you. We could pump up to the target sell, which is also near the top of this channel. And that's about $326 there. So yeah, Solana's looking pretty good though. Daily looks much better on the momentum waves. No bearish divergence. Let's go back to the weekly. Let's see how the weekly looks here. Okay, so we do have weekly bearish divergences with money flow coming down, that dreaded SPF man boob pattern that Jay talks about. So you can see higher high here between these two. That's your first drive of weekly bearish divergence. Higher high here between these first two. Another lower high on the momentum waves. 3 drives of bearish divergence on the weekly. With the 3 drives of bearish divergence on the weekly, if we see Bitcoin correct, Solana's probably going to correct too. And we might even correct to the bottom of this channel around $150, which if we do a range pull of the weekly, maybe we could do it from here. Yeah, sure enough, it's the POC of this weekly range. So if I zoom back in onto the daily here, you can see this range that we've been in since March of 2023. If we do this range pull, the POC of this range is also at the bottom of the channel, which is pretty nice alignment there, where I'd be looking. So $200 and $150 are our next major supports on Solana, where I'd be looking to take swing positions, swing longs, if this bull market's going to continue, which I do think it will. I just think we're due for a correction. All right, so that's Solana. Actually, let me show you guys that pitchfork that I just had on there. So the pitchfork's very similar to the channel. It is just similar to what I'm looking at on Bitcoin, where when we see like this ascending upwards accumulation pattern like this, you can go to the first major low of that, go to the high, and then go to another major low, and you can see the pitchfork's been pretty well respected. Let me just actually check this out. Modified skiff. Yeah, I actually like the modified skiff better on this one because you can see it's been respected here. It was rejected more to the dollar here. We came back above the midline. We flipped it to support. We continued higher, but we failed. We saw a really big drop. And then, right here, the lower band support held, which is what we're trying to do on total 3 right now. We're trying to hold above the band to continue higher. But when we finally lost that band, we came back down. We front ran the bottom of the pitchfork a little bit, but we're chopping around here and came up to the top of the band. Now we're dropping and we're holding this midline. So once again, if Solana does decide to hold, this could be, I think the other day I bought at like 219. I bought some Solana at 219 just because I want to DCA into Solana for some of these target sells. I think Solana's going to be really bullish this cycle, and I do think Solana, if you look at Solana's chart over Ethereum's chart 5 years ago, they look very similar. And I think Solana could even get up into the $1,000 range or like $800 range by the end of this bull cycle. So I'm pretty comfortable buying some here. Most of my stuff I bought at like $40 or lower. So I think $16 I bought some at actually back in 2022, 21, 22. All right, that's Solana. Next up on the list is Chainlink. So let's go to Link. Okay, so Link here. Let me zoom out onto the weekly. Yeah, Chainlink's awesome. You guys, we saw this like 2-year accumulation range here. Then we had that expansion phase. We pumped up. I think we rejected from the golden pocket, if I'm seeing this correctly. Actually, let's see here. Golden pocket. It was golden pocket, but if we change it based off log scale, because we're on the log scale, so we got to go log scale. Yeah, we rejected from the log golden pocket, which you can see how nicely that hit perfectly into the golden pocket. We saw a really big rejection. Now, another key thing, though, you guys, just recently here, when we saw a dip down to $10, I bought some at $10. And the reason why we were seeing all these last prior highs that were in this 2-year range here, you can see that we dropped back down and we flipped, which was also our value area high, our value area high of this range is where we wicked to. So we wicked down. We confirmed our old range resistance as a new range support on a higher time frame on a weekly. That showed us that Chainlink had major strength on the weekly chart. Now, I didn't catch much down here, but I did buy at $10. I think it was like $9.70 or something like that. And we saw this huge push up. Now we're breaking the golden pocket, which is really cool, really key. If we go to the, okay, now we're coming up to the golden pocket on the non-log scale, but if we do that, we'd want to turn this off log as well. So yeah, it's still coming up there. 30, 35, 34 to $36 is a level to watch for, because we also have, if you guys look here, we do have a weekly level here that has some liquidity resting, not there. That weekly right here. If it will, there we go. Okay, so the weekly is there, and you can see, actually, we're trying to hold the weekly as support. Let me turn this on to strong. I want to get this precise. Yeah, so we broke above that weekly. We're trying to flip it to support now. If we zoom in onto the daily chart here, you could probably see that it broke above. See, it was holding as resistance. We saw a drop from it the first time we hit it. We were able to break above, so now we might be flipping it to support to continue up to $34 to $36. So I would at least look to take some profit on your spot at $34 to $36. Usually the first time we hit a golden pocket like that, we'll see some sort of rejection. Let's zoom back out to the weekly on here. So I do see a nice possible, let me get rid of this, pitchfork here. So if we go from the lows, the bear market lows there, we come up to this high, we come here, and I'm going to change this to a original. Yeah, sure enough, look at that. We rejected to the dollar from the top of the pitchfork. So these pitchforks can be really nice to find targets in price discovery, or targets after a long bear market of, downwards price action. You can see this is a bullish pitchfork because we're taking it from the lows to the highs. So, and you can just see how nice it hit into that top of the pitchfork, and we're seeing the rejection there. So now we are at the support right now on the daily. That last major daily level that I just highlighted for you guys, actually, this is not a daily level, this is a weekly level. That last major weekly level is now, we're now trying to flip it to support, which also happens to be the band, because you can see the first few times we hit into this band, we saw rejections from it. Hit into the band first time, saw a rejection. Hit in the band second time, third time, rejection. Now we're flipping above the band, came up to the top of the pitchfork. Now we're coming back down to the weekly to flip the weekly and the band to support to continue up to the golden pocket at 36. So right now, if you are bullish on Chainlink, this is a level to buy. I wouldn't be buying here. I might be longing here for like a day trade. I wouldn't be buying on spot, because we are seeing bearish divergences, higher highs here, lower highs here, money flow starting to roll over. So we're seeing bearish divergences confirm on the daily. Let's go to the weekly chart. Let's see if we see any weekly bearish divergences. Yeah, we are seeing weekly as well. Not as strong, but actually, I don't know if we are seeing weekly bearish divergences. That's more of like an equal high. If we roll over right now, if we lose this weekly and lose this pitchfork band, then it might be like a bearish divergence, but it's definitely not as strong as Bitcoin's bearish divergence. So altcoins are actually looking pretty good compared to Bitcoin as far as bear divs go. That's concerning for Bitcoin to me. And we know if Bitcoin's going to crash, the rest of the market's going to go with it. So Chainlink, another really good thing we could do is we could go back on the daily, and we could look for the last swing low on the daily. Here, we could pull a golden pocket from the low to the high. We can pull it over, and depending on how long it takes, say it takes like a week or two, say we chop around in this band for a little bit, and then we lose it, we could come back to the 786, which would be in confluence with this midline, and then we could continue higher. So $22 would be a good level to watch. That's also now $22 is going to act. We have a daily level there. If you can see, the candle closes. Right there is our next major daily level that we haven't taken liquidity from. So $22 is actually looking pretty good. We have the daily level there. We have the pitchfork midline there, and we have the 786 of the last fib pull retrace there. So $22, $22, $23 there is a good level to look for at least a day trade long. I think we could get it, even if we do something like come back down, chop around in this channel for a little bit, this band for a little bit, come back down, hit it, and then come up to test this again, and even if it's a lower high and we reject, which we can do a theoretical fib pull, we can go from that high to the low. Say we hit the 786. Sure enough, that's the golden pocket. So that is going to be something major to be watching for, guys. If we come back to $22, you could long $22, bring it up to the golden pocket around 27. That's still a really good trade on the daily. And you could at least TP1 here. And then if we don't reject, ride the rest up. Or if we reject here, take profit here. If it looks like we're going to start rejecting on the daily, take profit here and then write it down for lower lows. And you could even short that too. So that's Chainlink. Let me check for channels real quick on Chainlink. I mean, I'm not seeing much on the daily because it's been pretty much straight up. I mean, the only thing, let me get rid of this stuff here. All right, Chainlink. I would say we could look for a channel. I'm going to zoom in onto the 4-hour chart here. And I really don't like much of this. You could do from this low here. You could pull here. You could go to this flash crash wick if I can get to it. Darn it. Here, and then you could pull it up to the highs here. I mean, it's decently respected, and you can see the midline's decently respected. I wouldn't put too much weight into this channel, though. It is holding so far, and it's also the weekly, and it's also that pitchfork band. So Chainlink could hold. If it doesn't hold, 22 is a level I'd be watching for. 22 to 23. All right, that's Chainlink. Let me go to next is going to be Brett. All right, Brett here. Let me zoom out onto the weekly. Not much there. Let me go to the daily. I mean, like the weekly, we could mark out that weekly level that we see here. We could make that a weekly. And then you could mark this weekly down here, but that's quite a ways down. So I'll leave that for now. Let's go to the daily. Looks like we've already taken this daily here. Daily is the same as the weekly up here. This daily here, you could look at this daily here as a level, but I don't know how much I'd put into that. Let's see. I guess so. I mean, well, let's do a range pull. You could do a range pull on the last major range of the daily. And not much confluence there. We are holding we held the value area high of this one. We wicked below, but we didn't close the daily below it. We held it and we pumped up higher. We held it here, even though we had the flash crash wicks past it when Bitcoin had its 10K flash crash, and we're at the value area high now. So if you're bullish on Brett on the daily and you think this might be a level to buy, I wouldn't be buying here, to be honest. I would at least wait for us to come take this, especially if Bitcoin crashes again. It's probably going to come down lower. So we can take a fib pull from the last major low to the high. We can look there. Not much confluence there, although. And we already hit the golden pocket here once. So you saw from this high to this low, we came into the golden pocket. That's where the flash crash happened. And then we pumped up, but we made a lower high. And now we're correcting back down on the daily. So that's not a good sign for Brett, you guys. That's kind of showing me that Brett had a change in market structure on the daily, came up, made a lower high on the daily. So we could be expecting a lower low on the daily. So maybe coming back down. I mean, and Brett doesn't have much support below as well. So let's see. I keep doing that. All right. So yeah, I think if this value area low doesn't hold, there is a potential we could come back down, all the way back down into this sideways range here. So if we do a range pull from like this part here, you could look for the value area high of this range, which is close to the bigger POC. I do think that the last prior daily highs here, we could look for the last prior daily highs is in pretty close confluence with that daily level to hold. So at like 11.9 cents, 11.7 cents there, that might hold a support there. So that's something to be watching. Brett doesn't look as good to me on the daily chart. I think Brett could see some more downside. Bearish divergences on the daily. Lower highs on momentum waves, higher highs on price action, Money flow is kind of curving down a lot more aggressive than on some of these other coins. On the weekly chart, let's see here. Weekly chart, yeah. And you know what? There's not much price action on the weekly. I do see a possible pitchfork we could pull, and I would change that from original to a skiff pitchfork. So yeah, you can see there, we came to the top of the pitchfork, and now we're losing the midline of the pitchfork. Now that I created that pitchfork, let's zoom back in on the daily. Let's see how this worked. Came up to the top, dropped that back down, flipped this to resistance, this upper band, and this weekly acted as resistance, and then we dropped back down to the lower band, even though we front ran it just a little bit because it was the golden pocket. Tried to break back up. So I would say, yeah, 22 or 11.9 looks decent because it's also this band here. So say we come back down on the daily level here, come to test the daily and those last prior highs in confluence with this lower band of the pitchfork, then we could see either a lower high up to the midline and then further, or we could see if things continue bullish, hold support here. That might be a decent spot buy, and then you could continue higher, break the weekly, continue higher. I don't like Brett as much as some of these other coins. I know it's less liquidity too, so I don't know if I'd be too bullish on that. I know it's a meme coin, but I don't know too much about it. But also meme coins, if they don't really have a utility, they can crash just as fast as they pumped. Let me know, you guys, what Brett's about and if there's good fundamentals on it or if there's a good community behind it, because the power of memes is special. All right, last coin that I'm going to look at today is Mana. So if we go on to Mana USD here, Mana. All right, let's zoom out onto the weekly. It's kind of been in this range here. So if we do a range pull from these lows here over here, you can kind of see it's been in a range, rejecting from the value area high every time. We're losing the POC on the weekly. That's not very good. We can see, I bet you that value area low is aligning with the golden pocket. So if we do this, yeah, value area low, golden pocket. So 44 cents is a level to watch for, because this range here, the POC of the last weekly move up, if we retrace to the golden pocket, it's in confluence with the value area low of this range of the last weekly range. That's a level to be watching. Mana is pretty far away from its all-time highs, and it looks like, man, I don't know. I think it's a dead project, you guys. I know that it's like gaming, and I'm good for gaming ecosystem, but these games like this that aren't very good games, to be honest. There is an ecosystem within them, but there's not much bullishness on this. Sentiment is key in crypto. Trading psychology, sentiment, these things are key in crypto, and Mana hasn't been getting a lot of hype. I do see we could do something like a sideways range. If we do a sideways range from here to here, you can see we've been consolidating here in this sideways range. We are coming, so when we had that flash crash last week, we did bounce off the midline. So if I zoom into the daily here, you can see we bounced off the midline of the sideways range. We came up for a lower high, bad sign on the daily, and now we're coming back down. We did see dual lows there, so we could SFP these kind of semi-dual lows and then reclaim it. I'd want to see, if we're doing the SFP, I'd want to see us to come down, take it, and close a 4 hour above it. Because if we can't close a 4 hour above it, we're probably going to continue down. So, and I don't see much, honestly, much good pitchforks or channels on this except for this sideways channel here. Let's go back to the weekly and let me see if I can find any bearish pitchforks on this. Gosh, this is really old price action from when it was way up here. Yeah, I mean, we could do a pitchfork, a bearish pitchfork from the all-time high back to that major low to this high, and I don't like it. It's not even good. We could go with an inside pitchfork. Yeah, nah, nothing there. So I would say that 44 cents is the first level I'd even be considering looking to buy on spot. If we come back down, as far as a day trade or a leverage trade goes, if we SFP those dual lows on the daily into the midline and we can close the daily above the midline, then you might consider longing that. We are starting to form a range on the daily as well. So if we do something like this, we could see this pull. We're at the value area low right now. But it looks like we're going to lose it, to be honest. Like bearish divergence here on the daily. Money flow looks like crap. Momentum wave's not bottoming out. Let's go back to the weekly real quick. Let's see on the weekly. Bearish divergence is even here. So from this high to this high, higher high, lower high. It's about semi. Actually, it's not semi-equal. So I guess you could call it a weekly bearish divergence. And yeah, so I mean, you could do a pull from this low to the high here, or you could do a pull from this low here to the high. So if we do that pull, you can see, yeah, the golden pocket at 46. So if we go back to the daily here, and let's see, oops. Let me move that over. You can see if we kind of did something like a hit to the golden pocket, but saw an aggressive buy at the golden pocket, came back up, closed the 4-hourly candle above those SFPs, and kind of flipped the midline, then we could continue up. And then even at that case, I'd be looking for a lower high. This is a theoretical pull, but say we did go down to the golden pocket, you'd be looking for a lower high to take profit there at the golden pocket, 786, and possibly even short, because we did change market structure with bearish divergence on the daily. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any other coins, let me know. I hope this helps you guys. And we'll keep giving updates.